Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brittany Essen, and I am the HR Director of BMO Company. Thank you for joining me today virtually to discuss employee separation and what metrics can be used to utilize the improvement of it. Let's start with a brief overview of our agenda. We are going to review HR analytics, turnover rates, developing the costs, and then a quick wrap-up. HR analytics. What's its value to employee separation? Employee separation, or better known as the turnover average, is the general average of employees that choose to leave the company or who have been terminated. According to ExactHire, the voluntary annual turnover rate for nonprofits is 19%, far outpacing all industry averages of 12%. A 2021 study conducted by a nonprofit HR found that 45% of nonprofit employees will seek new jobs by 2025. By incorporating different HR analytics metrics for our small nonprofit company, we will be able to gain insight of the economic consequences of our employee separation for BMO Company. I want to first address a few signs us as leaders can look for with our employees that they might be considering leaving the BMO Company. This will allow us to potentially engage with these employees before they can actually leave, or at least while they're considering it, we might be able to help them want to stay with the company. So look for signs such as work productivity has decreased more than usual. They have exhibited a negative change in attitude at the BMO Company. They are expressing all dissatisfaction more than usual, leaving work early on a regular basis, and they have developed a lack of interest with the clients of or employees of BMO Company. Please be on the lookout for these signs while working with our employees. Next, turnover rates. For our company, it is important for us to understand our average turnover rate. By using the formula number of turnover incidents per period divided by the average workforce size times by 100, BMO Company will be able to use this data over the years to compare our turnover rates. By acknowledging our turnover rate, we can use HR analytics to develop logical data for our company to use and prepare and address our turnover. It is important for us to understand our turnover rate because as a nonprofit company, we might be a part of that 45% of employees that are seeking other employment elsewhere, and we don't want to be a part of that 45%. We're already a company of 50 employees. We are looking to expand. By understanding our turnover rate, we can budget and prepare more accordingly. When employees leave our company, we are looking at a cost process of employee separation, a cost of replacement, a cost of the training, and a cost of the differences of performances. This will reflect into our annual budget. With each average turnover rate, as a company, we need to be aware of the cost of turnover, for it can begin to cause financial implications for our company. By using HR analytics to gather data, it can support our company in addressing the cost of employee separation and its overall process. Let's begin to measure the costs. There are four major components of developing turnover costs. It's separation costs, replacement costs, training costs, and the difference in performances. This will all guide our company in measuring and analyzing the cost of our employee turnover. First, separation cost. To determine the separation cost, you must use the formula S1 plus S2 plus S3 plus S4. We develop these through the cost elements: exit interview, which is S1, administration function related to termination, S2, separation pay, S3, and unemployment tax, S4. By using the appropriate formulas that you see on the screen, we will develop those cost elements, which will give us our total cost of separation. Our HR department will use these formulas seen on the screen so that we can develop the overall costs. The data that can be found in our reports, records, employee files, and assessment tools, which can lead us to understanding the first cost and turnover. We can also review this data on its own when just looking at one segment, depending on the data we are trying to gather and the cost we are reviewing. Does anyone have any questions before I continue? No? We shall begin with our next cost, replacement cost. We have now lost an employee. Whether it's due to termination or someone leaving, we now need to replace this employee. By using the following formula, we will determine the replacement cost. Again, using cost elements, which by looking at the screen, you will see the formulas that our HR department would use to develop these cost elements. R1, which is communication of job availability, plus R2, pre-employment administration of functions, plus R3, entrance interviews, R4, testing, plus R5, staff meetings, plus R6, travel and moving expenses, plus R7, post-employment acquisition and dissemination of information, and plus R8, employee medical exams, to equal our total replacement costs. Our elements, though, will vary depending on the job and targeted labor. Our team will use these metric systems to develop, again, our overall replacement costs, the second step to determine our total turnover costs. Now that we have replaced our employees, it's time to train them. They need to meet the standards of BMO company before they can step foot in their position. This is the third step. We will measure our training costs with the formula T1, which is informational literature, plus T2, instruction of formal training program, and T3, instruction by employee assignment, to equal our total training cost. This data can be obtained through our accounting records, which will allow us to determine the total sum. Training plays a vital role for our company and allows us to prepare our employees to do their job to the fullest and for them to understand their expectations at BMO company. Lastly, the difference in performance. This final factor to our equation should be utilized in comparing the net turnover cost to see the differentiation from the employees who leave and their replacement. This is important. We use this metric because it will guide our HR department in seeing the performance of the new hires exceeds from the performance of the ones who separated. The Center for American Progress estimates that the average of cost of replacing an employee is approximately 21% of that employee's salary. This section will allow our department to not only measure cost revenues, but allow us to develop logical methods and programs to reduce these costs. By using this formula, we will give our difference in performance. This provides our HR department with the understanding of the differential value of replacement in comparison to our employees who left, which will be added into our final turnover cost formula. Now, what we've all been waiting for, the overall cost, the total cost of turnover. We will now be adding the separation, replacement, training, and the difference in performance all together to get our total costs. This will allow our department to not only measure cost revenues, but allow us to develop logical methods. We will use this to reduce the costs of our turnover. We will use this analytical methods to strategize, to improve our costs with logical decision making for the BMO company. I want to thank everyone real quick for attending this virtual meeting, for me to have the chance to talk about some HR analytics that could be very beneficial to our BMO company. I want to lastly recommend a book in the bottom right called Investing in People. This is where I piled a great deal of my data. I think our team could benefit from reviewing this book in its sections. Not only does it talk about turnover rates and the separation costs, but it also reviews a variety of different HR analytics. I want to conclude by answering any questions that you guys might have, and thank you for attending. I look forward for your feedback and discussing further about these HR analytics in our next meeting. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day, guys. Any questions? No? Okay, if you can email me if you'd like, if you have any other further questions that you think of later. I will also email this presentation to you so that you may review it at your own time and review any formulas up close that you might have questions for as well. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye. Bye, everyone.